Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. It's good to have you back again for another beautiful, informative session of the Day in the Life series. If you are excited to be a part of this series, I want to see you type in the chat box. I am excited. Let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yes, I can see. As you know, today we'll be meeting a cyber security professional, and I am really excited to meet our guest for today. But before we dive right into it, I would like to thank our sponsors who have made this very possible for their continuous support. I would like to thank Cisco, Networking Academy, Checkpoint, Policy Wizard, EC Council, Practical DevSecOps, INE, Microsoft ADC, and ATO. Yes, I can see the excitement in the chat box already. Are you excited? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, quick one. I want you to also please send a message to your peer learning groups and Slack. Just mention your sisters and tell them please join the session immediately so they don't miss any of the wonderful goodies we'll be getting today. So send a message to your peer learning group, send a message on Slack to your sisters, and remind them to join this session immediately because it has started already. Before we meet our guest, I would like us to take our mantra as per tradition. I always say the mantra is it's an affirmation. You just need to continue saying it. So let's take our mantra. I am knowledgeable, resilient, and excellent. I am a fountain of value and an ardent problem solver. I am a voracious learner, so nothing is too difficult for me to master. I am a genius. I am a doer with genius intellect. I am a cyber girl. Yes, yes, yes. I need that excitement. Go on, go on. Do not forget, send messages to your sisters in on Slack and make sure to remind them, mention them on thread, peer learning group. Just remind your sisters to join this session because you don't want them to miss this. So today we will be meeting a cloud security professional, like I already mentioned, and I'm sure a lot of you are excited to meet her already. We'll be meeting another Cyber Girls alumna. I know, proud. We're really proud. Who was a part of the Cyber Girls 2.0 2.0 cohort, and I am really happy and excited to meet her today. Jacqueline is a seasoned cloud security engineer at CyberGuard Africa, Kenya, with over 7 years of experience in the tech industry, holding a BSc in mathematics and computer science. She embarked on her career as a software developer before seamlessly transitioning into the realm of cloud security, where her expertise truly shines. Jacqueline's commitment to cloud technologies is palpable through her engaging public presentations and informative cloud training sessions. She's a proud alumni of Cyber Girls, where she also served as an alumni community manager. Additionally, she co founded the API Festival, demonstrating her dedication to innovation and community building within the tech sphere. Please, I would like to welcome Jacqueline to the stage. Please let's show our excitement in the chat box. Go ahead, go ahead. Hi, Jacqueline. Go
Hi,
ahead. Yes, yes,
Anna. How
yes.
are
I
you
can see
doing?
the excitement already. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is good to have you here. I love your smile. You have a very contagious smile, and
Thank
you've been making
you.
me smile the entire time. So it's good to have you here, and I'm really excited that you could make our time to have this really interesting conversation with us. Before we dive right into the questions, I would like to know. Um, you're smiling already. I like to ask like really really out of the box question. Just to break the ice. So, if you had the offer to choose a dream vacation, a destination, a very whatever your dream vacation destination, what would it, where would it be, and why would you choose there?
If was given like a chance, I only choose one place. I'd tell them to like extend that vacation so like cover like so much. I'd wait to experience like different tropical places, Maldives, wherever. Like so long as there's a beach and there's sand, I want to experience it.
Thank you for that. I really, really, really would actually love to experience a lot of wonderful countries as well. So let's dive right into it. What sparked your interest in pursuing cloud security as a career? Was there something that really ignited that passion? Is there a specific inspiration behind it?
So yes, there is something that's happened. So a little backstory, as my bio read, I have a background in software development. So I started out as a software developer. I genuinely loved it. I used to do web and mobile security. My main focus was mobile and I genuinely loved it. However, looking into the future and what I wanted to be 5, 10 years, I didn't see that becoming the possibility. Like I was like, this is something for now, but not future wise. Then came COVID. Hmm. When COVID hit and everything had to stop and we had to go home, I think it that's the point where now I had to sit with myself and really think, who am I? What do I want to achieve in this life? It was a scary time because it was you and your thoughts and your plans. You're cut off from the world, so you have to like really be true to yourself. So that time was, I kept telling my dev friends, I don't think I will be a dev for so long. So that time was like, since I've been saying I don't want to be a dev all my life, then what else can I do? My
Mm-hmm.
background is mathematics and computer science. So by virtue of that, I want to say I was spoiled for choice because my undergraduate could allow me to go the data security, data, anything data, science, analytics, AI, and all that. I'll go the computer science side. So at that time, there was a hype about cloud. That's when cloud started becoming popular. So I started learning cloud in 2020 for the virtue of just to stay relevant in conversations. You know the feeling where you don't want people to be thinking about something and you're just there saying, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." It's way better to have points to keep in as compared to always be the one with the intonation. So I started learning cloud, and at that time I was like, oh my god, this is something. It felt a bit confusing at that time, honestly, and I was like, this is so much. It's so bulky. I don't think it can be possible. However, we started having a conversation with my cousin, and he worked in the banking industry. So at that time, when it was COVID, there was a lot of cybersecurity issues in the Kenyan space. So he kept telling me, cyber is gonna be very important. And that time I was telling him about switching careers, and he's like, thinking of something, please integrate security in what you're doing. He didn't say do security, he said integrate. My mind was this cloud, so what else can that be? So I sat and researched. By research, I mean I sat, took a book, wrote all career options that are viable in the cloud space.
Mm-hmm.
Architecting, all that, like I really did an in-depth research. Now this time, the idea of security is already been planted in my mind. So I went back to school. COVID, we resumed school and everything. And then I went back to school. So I'm doing my undergraduate, all that. My fourth year, I'm like, oh my God, I now have to make a decision. Where do I want to go? So I was very inclined to security side. So you remember there studied cloud in 2020. So my story is not one long thing. It's just a few countries and people thing. So I now decided the cloud that had started, how about I build on it and now it becomes a thing. Because being a developer and trying to shift careers, I wanted a career where I could transfer the dev skills I had. So I was thinking in the line of DevOps and all that. So when you're doing DevOps, there's a part where you have to do that has cloud security. Not cloud security, sorry, cloud. So at that time, I picked Azure as my cloud. And I was just like, oh my God, this is so interesting. I don't know what it is, but I want to build my career. But I can maybe say they
Hear
can't
me?
tell me that. So is my audio not so clear?
Can you hear me?
Can, yes. Can
Yes,
you
I
hear
can hear
me?
you now. Yes, I can. I think you should do without the earpiece because I think it's echoing. I don't know if it's just me, but I can see in the chat box. Can you do
Oh, I'm
without?
so sorry about that. I am trying to
Yes,
have
I
the
think it's affecting the audio to an extent.
okay. I'm trying to have the earphones because it's raining heavily in Kenya right now.
Oh, okay,
So
okay. I think you should just hold it closer to your mouth like you did the other time because it's
yeah,
really hurt.
Okay,
Um,
allow me to switch off my camera for a hot minute, and then I'll be back.
all right, that's all right, no problem. Just be here. So, guys, we are trying to resolve the technical. She has a little bit of audio issue, but um, yes. Please, I want to see your excitement in the chat box. Are you excited to be here? Are you excited to learn more about cloud security professional? Because I understand a lot of you have that in mind as well. Yes, yes, I understand that. So please just exactly, just go ahead, type in the chat box while our guest joins us, while we wait for our guest to join us again. Go ahead. Are you excited? Are you excited to learn more about cloud security profession? Um, Go ahead. Yes. Hi, Jacqueline. It's good to have you back again. Can you hear me? You're muted if you are speaking.
Hi, I don't know if this is better right now. So can you hear me better?
Absolutely. Yes, this is better
Ah,
now. I
it
think
shouldn't have.
please type in the chat box if you can hear her clear. I think you can. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have switched to earphones last minute. Should have stuck with it.
Yes.
Anyway,
Okay, yeah.
so
Thank
okay,
you.
good. So let's continue with picture. So come for the year, I was starting to think about now where do I go? Because now it's final year, you have to graduate, and you know
Mhm.
the pressure of life, and parents are asking you, so when you graduate, what do you want to become? I'm just like, well, I'm still a developer, but deep down, I know that's not what I want. So
Mm,
I started learning DevOps, and then at that time, when you're learning DevOps, there's a part where you have to learn a cloud. So I picked Azure and was like, oh, let me study this. And let me tell you, have you had a light bulb moment in this life? That was my light bulb. I felt like everything went bright. I immediately knew that is what I want to do. I don't know much about it. I don't know what I can become, but I know this Azure thing is what I want to do. So I went back to the notes that I'd written in 2020 on careers in cloud, and then right there at the start of the list was cloud security, and it just felt like God or the universe or whoever was telling me this is it. Let's
mm,
start with I was very lost. I didn't know much, but I wanted to do it. So ideally, that's my story is not just one story. It's here and then it comes back and picks up. I feel like that's life. Life is not definite. So life
yeah.
has taken me through rounds and rounds before I fully identified I want to be in cloud security. And honestly, I have found what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is it. Until I retire, I'm gonna be in the cloud security space.
Ah, I am so happy to hear that. I think what I got from your response is curious. You were curious, and then you asked questions. You seeked guidance, and where you said your uncle or your brother actually assisted and told you, oh, this is what I think you should do, and that's because you actually opened up and told him that, oh, this is what I don't know what to do. So curiosity, you continue when you're curious, research, continue to ask questions, and you will definitely get where you are going to. Jacqueline, every journey has its ups and downs. Can you share some challenges you have faced in your journey, and also what standout moments have you experienced that made you go, wow, this is why I do what I do. And I'm sure there are times when you also say, this is, yeah, am I, but there are times, of course, like you said, the light bulb just, and this is what you really want to continue to do. And I would like to know, what lessons have you learned? What lessons have this experience taught you?
So let me start with the law. I have a very interesting law. So ideally, I'm a multi-cloud security engineer. Translates that I do Azure, AWS, and GCP. In my role, most of the company is structured like a consulting company. So you get different clients who have different environments, and you have to always be on top of your game because you don't know the next client coming in, what cloud they have, and what they will require you to do. Some
Mhm.
want you to help re-architect the environment, audit it. Like there's so much going on. You have to be ready for what's coming your way. So this
Yeah.
one time, I had a client who had an environment on Oracle. I was like, the first question I asked was Oracle. Like, who even uses Oracle in this day and age? And in that moment, I was just like, oh my God, I have a gap here that I don't even know how to fix it. However, starting out in my career, there's something I was really keen on doing. I wanted to build a very strong cloud agnostic foundation. By saying this, I mean that there's the way CSPs are set up. Every cloud service provider has what it entails that you should do for them in terms of security, right? However, there's a baseline that should apply to all clouds. That is what we call cloud agnostic security.
Mhm.
So I wanted to go very in depth with my cloud agnostic knowledge because I realized that come rain, come sunshine, no matter what CSP you find, I keep saying the cloud, the baseline is the same. What differs is how different CSPs have implemented their clouds. So when I did my cloud agnostic foundation, I didn't it will come to help me like that. So in that time when I had the Oracle environment, it was very new to me and very tricky. It was tricky waters to navigate. First thing I did was I talked to my boss and I told him I've never done Oracle. So I request kindly you guys to be a little gracious with me this time around in terms of my delivery and everything, because I already knew that a new cloud would affect how the pace at which you deliver your project. Ideally, when you start working, you have to like have a structure of how you as your and as an individual you cover your work and everything. So dealing with a new environment, I knew it wouldn't be the same. So I requested for extra grace and was like, please, this one, guys, please be patient with me. So I started working on it, and it was very challenging until when like I studied a lot, and you see, you're studying so much in a very short period of time. So because you're trying to understand so much, so when I studied all that, eventually I kind of like found a leeway and then I tried to deal with the entire situation. However, I got a challenge because Oracle is not one of the clouds that is very prominent out here. So translate in terms of community support, you don't have that. You don't have people writing blogs on how to solve certain issues or fixes and all that. So you're the one who's literally you're the it's like you're the mechanic and you're still the one repairing, you're fixing, you're building, you're doing everything on your own. It's a lot. So I remember this one time. I cried. I will not lie. I cried because of being frustrated. But then I cried. There's this one day I cried, and then I woke up and I decided I'm not working in the house today. Ideally, I work from home. So I went to a restaurant, sat down, and I idealized everything I'd done throughout the entire project. All steps checked through them to see what I'd missed. When I saw there's nothing I'd missed, I was meeting my team in the afternoon. I went and sat everyone down and I told them, this is my problem and I need all your brains here to help me figure it out. By the time I was leaving there, I didn't have 100% of a solution, but I had 95%. And now I knew like they had guided me in a way that a perspective I'd not seen before. So now when I went home, I could be able to sit and solve it. And when I finished, I was very happy. I remember even telling my boss, when I finish this, you will all call me the cloud queen because I deserve it. Anyway, eventually finished and I was very happy. So that for me was a low that became a very high for me because
Mm.
this was an environment where I didn't ever think I'd be able to crack it. But nowadays I can comfortably say I can handle Oracle security, which ideally before I couldn't say. So I translated my low into a high. And yeah, so with that, even your boss starts to see that you're putting in the work and everything, there's a very different perspective they get to have of your work as well. Because they see
Yeah.
you're not running away from problems. Because ideally, the first thing I would have done was to bolt and tell them, hey, I don't know Oracle, I cannot do Oracle, I've never done Oracle, please assign the project to someone else. But I took it as a challenge and did it. So that for me, as I said, a challenge that I tend to consider a low that I translate to a high.
Oh, thank you for that, Jacqueline. I think what I also got from what you just said is it is okay to ask questions. It's okay to ask for help. It is you can't do it all, and it's okay to cry too, because the tears actually gives clarity sometimes. Actually, and when you're done, pick yourself back up and continue where you started from. But do not run away from your problems when you're faced with challenges. Just go ahead and do it. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. I would like to know, how does being a cloud security professional stand out from other cybersecurity roles, and how does being a cloud security professional differ from other cybersecurity roles? Like, what's
Yeah,
the
that's
what?
interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to say that first of all, there's a myth that people have that cloud security is the same strategies and implementations we do on on-prem security can be applied to the cloud. That's a very big myth because most times the cloud is a whole different realm. Translates to you can't put the same. It's like putting a band-aid on. The way you used to when you get hurt on-prem, you're not taking it to the cloud. It cannot be the same. How the cloud is set up is very different from how on-prem security is set up. Translates to even when it comes to security side of things. When we're doing security in the cloud, it's not the same as on-prem. Some concepts are the same and they will always apply everywhere. Like a firewall is needed, a web application firewall, a SIEM tool. But the only difference comes into the implementation. How are you configuring it in the cloud and how you're configuring it on prem? And then you'll find that traditional tools that were used to cater for on-prem security, they don't have the integration, or they did evolve to be able to cater for the cloud environment. So
Mhm.
you'll find some companies are still using the same tools based on, oh yeah, it can still do this. But if you look at it keenly, you realize that the tool just caters to on-prem security. It does not cover cloud security. So, and that's something we really, I keep saying, when you guys go into the workforce, you will have this a lot. You will find that your company is in the process of moving to the cloud, but they don't want to incur that budget of everything that needs to be done. And most
Mm.
people tend to use just the IT department to move to the cloud. So when they move to the cloud, there's so many issues that happen there. One of the biggest risks in the cloud security space is misconfigurations, which we say is something that should be curbed right from the beginning when you have like the right people in your team to move with you. So those are some of the challenges that we get to see, and that's the difference between on-premise and cloud. In the cloud, in the on-prem, you'd have your normal IT security people do configurations and everything, but when it comes to the cloud, it requires people with the cloud skills to be able to do the configurations, architecting, security, everything, the whole 360 in the cloud.
Mhm. Mm.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Cloud technology is always evolving, as you know. And
Yes.
how has cloud technology evolution changed security approaches, and what benefits and risks comes with cloud-based security solutions?
So cloud is constantly evolving. I kept saying it's one of the interesting spaces to be in because you never know what changes are coming around the corner. You will
Yeah.
find like something recent is like Azure and Microsoft Azure. They recently changed their Azure AD to Entra ID. You see,
Mm-hmm.
as a cloud security professional and a cloud security person, you have to be very in touch with what's happening in your space to know if
Mm-hmm.
these small changes happening. As the cloud is evolving, you also have to evolve. Something that's amazing when it comes to cloud security is that the CSPs, I will use CSP a lot. CSP is Cloud Service Provider. It's just a shorter name to say it. CSP is Cloud Service Provider. It's so long.
Yeah.
So what CSPs are doing is that they're trying to integrate security into every component they're creating. So if you work with Azure, there's when it comes to IAM security, there's a security bit they've done to be able to cater for the computing bit, right? Same thing with AWS and GCP. So as a cloud security professional, these are the things you should be very keen about. If we're doing Azure, if a company has Azure, what is there for IAM security in terms of the Azure provisions? Before you go bring in a third party solution, try and see what much can you leverage that the CSP has provided. And something else that drives people away from the cloud is the cost. It's very expensive. If you don't do your configurations right, or you're not monitoring your cost and all that, having alerts and budgets, the bill that will slap you at the end of, let's say you guys have set up the bill that will slap you at the end of it all is going to be very huge. There are sometimes you'll find companies deciding, I feel like we need to go back to on premise because they don't know how to manage the cost. As a security person and a cloud person, one of the major things you'll always be needing to do is managing the cost. How do I
Mm.
manage and justify the cost? Because at times you'll need to justify why are we using this, but it's because you'll come say this solution we cannot do away with it, or we're using this solution instead of this one. So using X reduces our cost, but there's still a cost to be incurred. So those are the things that they really differentiate how we approach security, because normally in on-prem people would view security as just get one license or something, it covers everything, but in the cloud it's pretty different.
Thank you for that. That's if I heard you correctly, you said as a cloud engineer or as a cloud professional, you have to be up to date. You have to
Yes.
continue to, check for updates, check for it just keeps,
Studying.
it yeah, you can't just sit one place and expect to know what is happening. You have to research, you have to like check what is going on and what is a new update. When evaluating a cloud environment security risk, um, what are the common threats and vulnerability? How which one of them do you prioritize or handle? How do you decide which one needs tackling first?
Okay. So there's a guide I created for myself. I'll probably share it on my LinkedIn one of these
Oh,
fine
that would
days.
be great.
it's like a check that you have to do with your client. So every single time, it's good to know that client environments are different. You first thing you have to understand and sit with the client is to understand what services are they leveraging on which cloud, because that will guide you in the entire process in terms of the tools you will use, the approach you will use, and the frameworks that you'll need to be considering. Right.
Mhm.
So you sit with them and analyze. So what services are you using? Also, let's go back a bit. When you sit with a client and analyze what services they're leveraging, you'll also be able to identify what issues are faced within these particular services, so that when you're doing your assessment, these are the things you're keenly looking out for, right? So let's take a hypothetical. You go find a client has an AWS environment. First thing is to ask them what services are you leveraging on AWS. Then they like tell you everything they're doing. We have compute engines, we have storage, we have this, we have this, we have this. You have to note that down and kind of like mentally do that. Because when you're running your audits and assessments, you have to ensure that all these mentioned services pop up in your assessment so that you
Mm.
don't have like a blind spot somewhere. They say they're on AWS, but they didn't give you specifics. So you need those specifics to narrow it down. Then you have to go whose biggest issue again is I am access management. Who's handling the cloud? What happens there? How do you assign your users? Then you start, it's like an interrogation. Before you do your assessment, it has to be an interrogation with the client. You understand how they're doing everything, services being provisioned, who's provisioning, who has access, all that. Then now it comes back to you and your tools. You have to look out for all the tools you use. There's a site called offsec. I think offsec.tools. Please check it out. Offsec has all tools you need, not just cloud security, but even on like other things. So you have to go to OffSec and decide, let's say I need to enumerate something or I need to do a compliance or an audit check for this cloud environment. My favorite tools to use when I'm doing an audit assessment is CloudSuite, Prola, CloudSploit, because those ones I like to look for tools that are multi-cloud because you can be able to use them in an AWS environment and Azure
Mhm.
environment, like you to be limited, right? However, there's small nitty-gritties that you need to evaluate, like are there domains that are public facing, the company doesn't know about them? Are there buckets that are leaking things out here? So now that's when you go look for specific tools that will allow you to enumerate these things to see if those things are actually leaking or they're secure. Then you check on it's a really long process, but I hope I've
Mhm.
tried to simplify how you go about it. But you can't just do it in just wake up and do it. You have to have a plan and a checklist to go checking things. And then something else I should prepare you for when you're doing an audit assessment, the results you get from these tools, they're not like straightforward and telling you, here's the problem, this is it. It's
Mm.
a long Excel sheet that you have to sit and sift through. This is also dependent on the size of your company. When I'm telling you, you have to ask the questions of the services being leveraged, is because that will affect the size of the results and everything. A bigger company, think of it as the bigger the company, the more the services being leveraged, the more the results you have to sift through. So you'll find like even the Excel sheet you're sifting through has like 9,000 rows and you have to sit and sift through. So you see, you need to come up with a strategy that will allow you to be to sift through things better, like filter. You have to like have your own filters despite the filters created there to be able to know I'm looking out for this or this particular company, I'm doing a compliance check for HIPAA or beside
Mhm.
their like those small things are the ones that make you differentiate you from everyone else. And having a structure is very, very important.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that very, very informative response. Um, let's talk about skills. What core skills are crucial for success in cloud security, and how do you differ from the skills needed in other cybersecurity roles?
Okay. Let's start with the basic. You cannot thrive in cloud security if your cloud computing knowledge is not heavy enough.
Hmm.
So your cloud computing knowledge needs to be very, very I want to say heavy, like it to be a very strong foundation. You need to build your cloud computing knowledge, general cloud computing. Then you need to go to the CSP you're dealing with. Like let's say you decide I want to learn AWS for purposes that you choose AWS. I'd not like to influence that decision of AWS or Azure. I keep saying it's a personal thing. There's a cloud that's simpler to learn to you. Like you have to check the learning curve. There's a cloud that has an easier learning curve. There's one that doesn't have an easier. All depends on individual. However, if your foundation is strong enough, I promise you, you will not have a hard time even transferring knowledge from one cloud to the other. So your cloud computing knowledge is very important. Two, your CSP specific knowledge. If you pick Azure, build on it fully. If you pick AWS, build on it fully. Three is something I like to. It's something we call Terraform. I use Terraform a lot, so I use Terraform. But infrastructure as code. Learn how to deploy your applications, your servers, literally all resources in the cloud via code. It makes your work easier, reduces the misconfigurations there. You're able to reuse these scripts on and on and on and on. It's free to learn Terraform, so you won't say you have to pay something. So you won't go say we have to pay extra money to learn IAC. So IAC is very important because even when you like trying to deploy things very fast, just pulling up an IAC script is very important. So IAC is one of them. Then comes the cloud auditing or architecting bit of things. So each CSP has like a guideline on how security for their cloud should be done. Go take their different forms. Anyone who's doing Azure, I keep recommending use the Microsoft Learn site very well. It has all resources you will need. Go learn there how to deploy things. You can either do ad- um, the different learnings that are there in terms of security. Because in so let me make it easier for you. Identify the domains in cloud, right? We have IAM, we have data, we have storage, we have SIEM operations. Now go trying and like identifying what security measures should be key for all these domains. That will ensure and kind of like cut your study time into half, because you're not just studying blindly. You're studying as you're trying to identify. In IAM, this should always be the case. In this should always be the case. That makes your work easier. So ideally, those are the three things you need to survive in a cloud security role. Because if you're dealing with Azure, you need to learn how to deploy things very well in your environment, how to secure them, and times even how to audit them. Because you'll find most companies don't have the budget to hire like so many people in their cloud department. So you'll find like 2 to 3 people, and duties of security and audit will always be delegated to you because they assume you know them. So, and most of these things I will tell you, it's a lot of self learning and being very inquisitive out here. Watch
Mm.
videos and all that. So, yeah.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you for that. So you heard Jacqueline, a lot of self-learning, just, a lot of self-learning is needed while actually being in this role. So when you're faced with a problem in your role, how do you tackle it? What are some of the toughest challenges you've, come up against, and how do you tackle problem solving and decision making in your role?
So, besides crying, that's standard. That's standard. You have to know what works for you. For me, you have to like, the way when you're frustrated about something, you need an outlet first before you solve it. Probably
Uh-huh.
for me, if I don't cry, I just sit and like rant. I'll either cry or rant. Then
Yeah.
now I get to the gist of it. Ideally I kind of like try to break it down. What am I dealing with? And there's a problem you have at hand, and they're gonna be the people who get to or need to experience the results of your problem solving, right? Let's say at the end of it all, there's a client who needs this solved, or your supervisors need solved, right? So I look at it from 2 points of view: what is expected of me in this, and what is the ideal representation of what should be there. So as you're doing it, you're trying to solve understanding this is the problem. These are the ways I usually go about to solving this problem. But will they work in this situation? And if they
Mhm.
don't work, is there a point where I will need to bring on another person to be able to help me? Understanding that you cannot do it all alone is very important, because some of the mountains you will face, you need a community. And I'm very grateful that my team is always there to help me when I need issues. And I have a personal, I keep calling them like a personal friend in the cloud space. Where they're the person I go to most times when I don't know how to solve things in cloud security. Because ideally, they've also they're senior in the space as well, so they've been in the industry a bit longer, more experience, and all that. So when I cannot fully solve an issue, I have cried, I have done everything I can, I will now go to them and ask for their help. But this time where I am crying and doing everything, I am on YouTube reading things. I am on I'm on not to say TikTok. No, I'm on Twitter. My Twitter is very tech Twitter, so
Yeah.
my bookmarks really come in handy because I've saved like a lot of things I keep seeing people tweet about. And the thing is, cloud is one of the things where everyone is handling it right now, right? Like security professionals. So this
Yeah.
is to say that on your Twitter, if you followed people in the cloud security space, you will realize you're all going through the same issues. So there's always someone on Twitter posting a solution to something or a write up that will guide you in dealing with your problem. So when
Mm.
you pick a write up here, you read, that time the knowledge won't make sense. But now when you're faced with a problem, that's why you remember, oh wow, that. it's coming in handy, or something you read a while back and it just reminds you and everything just pieces together. So ideally that's how I go about my problem solving. One thing I analyze, it's problem solving, it's not one long thread as well. It's gonna be like a whole chain of up and down, come back here, do this, go talk to your boss. But something I've always prided myself in saying is always ensure that your supervisors or whoever you're reporting to know what you're working on, know what is challenging you at the time, because if it's challenging you, they're going to be graceful to you. So if you're not meeting the deadline within the set time, it's very easy for you to request, please add me additional time because the problem that I'd mentioned to you I'm currently solving, I haven't finished on it. But give me 3 more days or 2 more days or 1 more day and I'll be able to do it. And then this as well, let me tell you how this works out in the end. They get to see what kind of a person you are. You're resilient. You keep coming back to solve your problems when you get them. They can depend on you because they know even if the company, the client comes and have like so many challenges, they your manager's trust in the team is usually more solidified. And I keep saying, do you want to be someone who impacts the company, or you're just a diversity hire? Because you can't be a diversity hire in this life, especially not when you're a cyber girl. How are you a diversity hire? Our role is to bring value and impact into a company. So when you're always there and taking up new challenges and everything, it shows your ability to bring value to a company and to be dependent, to be that they can actually depend on you. Yes.
Thank you, Jacqueline. So, what I got from what she said, cry is very okay to cry. Um, you can, it's very normal to cry, but while you're crying, make sure you are looking to learn. Make sure you are learning. You're inquisitive while you're crying. It is very important. You also ask for guidance as well. I think one of the questions I saw or I have seen is, do you have to know how to code to be a cloud security professional?
So I will not say code, I will say script. This is what I want to make you understand. Scripting is very important in the cybersecurity profession, especially if you're trying to go on the technical side. The reason why I'm saying you need to learn scripting is because at some point in your career, you may decide, I want to venture into something else, right? So when you're starting out, your brain is so fresh and you can absorb so much. This is the time for you to study as much as you can. Again, you don't have to learn scripting to 1 to 100.
Hmm.
You just have to be able to write something that will be used again and again and again. So long as you can do something, someone else will always be there to help you polish it up if you can't like do the entire 100. Don't strain yourself when I have to learn everything to 100%. If let's say you've learned scripting 45%, your cloud computing skills are at 90%, the thing is you need to be able to do a bit of something, right? When work is being distributed in the company, will they say, we can't assign Palesa this because we don't even know what her strength is? But when they know that she can script or something, they'll decide, let's pair Palesa and Anna and they can do the job done. Okay, I'm mentioning the girls I'm saying in the chat. They can pair two of you or three of you and get the job done. You have to learn some bit of scripting. When it comes to the cloud, it's IAC, infrastructure as code. Learn to deploy your things via code. And it's very simple. Don't shy away thinking it's very hard. It's not hard, it's very simple. Also, this is something you can also learn on yourself or team up with a friend and learn it. What this will do also is I'm teaching you how to cut down your time into like half when you need to deploy things. When someone comes and tells you you need to deploy 10 servers of this, you don't want to go to the portal and you're doing each time for each and each and each and each. Using infrastructure as code reduces the time load that you need to achieve something. So when you do, because you're just gonna set how many do I want, what are the specifics, and then that as well allows you to check through for any misconfigurations. We have said that misconfiguration is one of the main issues that affects cloud security, not just security, but it's one of the okay, we tend to say it as it's one of the challenges in the cloud security space. But if we look at it, misconfigurations come from a point of everyone who's doing deployments in the cloud, right? So if we do IAC and we teach the developers in our team how to do IAC, we're going to reduce the misconfigurations in our environment, translates to our security posture as a company continuously improves. So you get how it's one thing that really plays in the long term in helping you achieve a better security posture for your company. So yeah, plus it's an added skill. So something else I want to say is when you're trying to identify like the skills that are also very important, there's something I used to do when I was starting out as a cyber girl. I'd go on LinkedIn, look for these jobs, sit and look through at the description of the skills needed. I was not
Mm.
trying to tick all boxes, but I was trying to be familiar with what do they look out for, what should my CV reflect in this. If I'm applying for such a job, what skill should be on my CV? So you go see they mention knowledgeable in Azure, I'm like, oh, I'm already good there. You go see they've said be able to deploy things as code. This is the time for you to learn as much as you can. So please take advantage of it.
Take advantage of learning as much as you can right now so you do not get all, just go on with it, learn, research, inquisitive, just research and ask questions. It's I always say ask questions is very important, especially when you're in a field like this. For someone starting in cloud security, what are the typical entry path to getting your feet wet to gain experience? Like what are the entry path in cloud?
I will say people say build a lot of projects, but I keep saying experiment a lot on your own. So the cloud is a place where you have to keep the provision things, the provision, the provision. Don't forget there's a cost to be incurred. So for every resource that you spin up, don't forget to take it down. But the thing
Mm.
about playing around with things on the cloud on your own, you get to make mistakes on your own, you get to correct yourself, you get to learn new tricks and everything. Also, there's these things we call HCSP. Okay, but this is very specific to Microsoft. They have like experts days when they like training days, where you have someone else who like handles the entire thing from like the CSP side, come do trainings for you. So I don't know how I'll put this link. Rewatch this video at the end of this. I will put the links on YouTube in the comment section. Okay,
Yeah.
just so that it makes it easier. So I'll pin like the books that I'd recommend, the sites and everything. So at the end of this, rewatch the video for the links at the YouTube section. So watch those training days, engage in them, the activities or the challenges they put out there. When I was in Cyber Girls, I used to do them a lot because I used to know Microsoft used to have like I think two or three in an year. So I'd plan myself, do my skills, and then try and do those challenges as well. It helps you test how strong you are in your skills and everything. Because there's one bit you can keep doing things, but if you don't test yourself out, you won't know if you've mastered it or you're just reading for the sake of reading. That's what you're told. Read something, go build on it. If you study about I am today, go to your cloud environment, be the administrator. Think of this like, think every single time you're doing something, think of it like in your workspace. At work, you're going to be the one they rely on, right? So you'll have to add users to the company, create, categorize them via organizations, give them permissions, and all that. Go in your cloud environment, try it all out, then go write about it. Something that also helped me a lot is I used to write about the things I'm doing. So when you do such a lab, go write on it on Medium or something of the sort. You'll just have, at the end of it, you're going to realize that you have like a whole list of things you did. And when you look back, every single time imposter syndrome hits me, I look at what I've achieved in this life and I'll be like, if I did that and I was scary and I was so scared when I was doing that, then this as well I can do. So when you do
Yeah.
all that, at the end of it, when you're feeling like you're short of skills, you're gonna realize, oh, wait a minute, I'm actually good enough. It's just that this little devil is trying to lie to me,
Yeah.
but I can actually do it. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's actually very, very, very important. Sometimes you get to forget what you get to forget who you are, and then when you can always go back to where you wrote it down and be like, oh yes, I actually did this and I did this and I did this, so I can actually do this. So it is important to remind yourself by taking notes sometimes, so you don't get to forget who you are. Take down notes, record what you have done while you're working on a lab, anything you're working on, just write it down, just like Jacqueline say, so you can always go back to it to remind yourself. Thank you for that, Jacqueline. What advice would you give to someone looking to, climb the ladder in the field, like, to a better, to another, part role? And what personal qualities do you think are key to the success in this role?
So I'm gonna speak and I'll use myself as a case study. When I joined my company, I was just a junior security engineer. As of
Mhm.
now, I'm a security engineer. I am a senior security engineer as well as a projects lead. So I don't just get to do the technical things. I also help manage clients and the team. So one of the things that has really helped me in this is one, to be really ready to provide insights or ideas. You don't have to know it all, but do not be silent in the meetings. There's one quote I ever read on this new generation, that's we are always requesting for a seat at the table. But if you are included at the table, what will you say and what will you use it for? So
Mm.
that knowing that you have the ability to create impact without even trying. If they have a problem, speak up, offer a solution. They probably would take it the first time. But then one, two times they're gonna be like, wait a minute, this person always has something insightful to say. And they will always now consider you and be like, okay, we want to hear your input on this. But it's because they realize you're not silent. You're trying to give your input. Even if it's wrong, you will help restructure your thoughts. Also, when you're given a chance to sit at the table, listen on the conversations that are being held, and analyze. So I keep saying this: check your company. What does your company do? What does growth mean for the company? Because growth for the company translates that you as an individual will be able to grow. There's an analogy I keep liking to use. You see, like a puzzle piece. For a puzzle to be complete, there are like so many pieces. They're nitty gritty pieces, right? But sometimes you can finish a puzzle without one piece. You know the way a certain piece can go missing, but then you will consider it negligible because the puzzle still looks complete, right? But there's a key piece in a puzzle that you can't complete a puzzle without it. It's either like it's a key puzzle point, like we need this to complete the puzzle. But there's a piece where even if it goes missing, you'll still say the puzzle is complete, right? You need to decide. So that's how a company, I tend to look like a company, like in terms of a puzzle. So there are different sectors coming in. There's operations, finance, and all that. You as an individual, you're one puzzle point. So you have to decide, well, am I going to be a very key person in this company where my insights are needed and all that? That the growth of this company is actually my contribution impacts the growth of the company, or will I just be a negligible part that I am present, but my value is not felt or seen?
Mm.
So that being able to draw ideas, when you look at the business, you know what growth means for the business. So you're able to sit and even ideally analyze, can we change this and bring growth? Can we do this? Can we do this? And then do not be scared to go up to your bosses and speak and like give your opinion. If something is not working, please call them. Even if most times you can do this, especially when you're having like your one-on-one meetings with them, or just mention it casually. Be like, oh, by the way, this and this is happening, but can we try this approach? You see that ability for them to see that you're taking initiative and you're trying to do things is very important. Two, soft skilled. You have to be very kind, courteous, everything. Like you might be the smartest person in the room, but if your mouth is not the kindest, you will not go far. If they can't depend on you to go outside there and sell the company, because they know, one, you're gonna speak about the company with so much value, with so much essence, like you're gonna be speaking and selling the company ideally. And they know that they can rely on you to deal with the clients. Because sometimes clients are, you see that reaction I've made? There are days when you're in an email thread and that's the only thing you can do. You're like, and then go back and write a very diplomatic email. That those are the small things, how you're able to even shape conversations with your clients, guide them to the right solutions, or do this instead of this. Even when you're having a client meeting, how do you take up space in the room? Do you just sit silent, or do you even offer insight and tell a client, ideally, I think you can try this solution and all this? You cannot offer a solution if you didn't sit and research and study. I will not come tell you your environment needs this if I'm not knowledgeable in IAM. It all goes back to what's the wealth of knowledge you're bringing to the table and who you
Mhm.
as a person. What kind of a person are you? Are you kind? Are you charismatic? Charismatic sometimes it's hard because there are people who are very charismatic in this. It's like CS. If CS walks into this room, we're all smiling and being jolly,
Right.
like she has the power to like harness the entire crowd and everything. But sometimes you don't have that charisma, but you have the ability to turn a conversation and have the room now listen to you. And now
Yeah.
because they also see you have insights to share, that like growth in a company is not you just being technical. I will tell you that for sure. You have to have people skills, communication skills, presentation skills, documentation. Can you also, there's something else I keep saying, document every achievement you've done. This is something CS taught us, or she keeps saying, and I picked it up and I started doing it. CS says keep a black sheet of everything you've ever done.
Mhm.
She's so right by that, because the small things you get to do in your company and they contribute to like a growth or something, keep a record of that. If anything ever comes up and they're like reviewing and be like, justify, you know, that point you're told, justify why you, hey, that is the point to shine up. You come ready. You will like this and this and this, and based on this, I know I can contribute to growth in the company based on this thing. So it's a combination of so many things, but like of it all, you better be ready for the growth. And when you pray for growth, I please pray for the discipline to study, to be resilient, and to deal with
Yeah.
what growth means for you. Because like for me, growth means I have to deal with clients. It's not a space I ever thought I'd be in. But when you're told you're the one who's going to a client meeting, you're going to a board meeting, you're like, the person was just like, what do you mean you're going for a board meeting? And like, oh yeah, and you need to present. Hey, I was just like, are you sure it's me? Like I have to stand in front of a group and translate concepts. And then you
Yeah.
see the ability to, you're not just technical, but you need to translate the technical things you're learning to non-technical audiences. Some of your supervisors and all that are not the most technical people, but you need to explain what have you done as a team, the
Yeah.
technical things you've done as a team in a non-technical way. So yeah.
Oh God, if I were you ladies, I would come back to this session and watch it again and again and again because there are so many nuggets that Jacqueline has dropped. But I think one that really stuck to me is while you're praying to be at the table, also ask yourself, what will I bring to the table when I get there? Because a lot of times we make this prayer and then when you get there, you just, you're lost on what to do. You're not contributing as you're supposed to do. And then there is no growth. And that is when you start doubting yourself. So everything is just like intertwined. You have to do this to do this. You have to document. You have to research. You have to communicate. You have to have people skills. You have to be able to ask for help. Everything are intertwined, just like Jacqueline has said. Jacqueline, there are always misconceptions floating around. What are some of the myths and misconceptions about cloud security you always come across, and how would you like to address them? Just one example, you know.
So there are two that I kind of like to pair together. Some say it's not
Ab-
hard, some say it's very easy. I will say it's not hard and it's not easy. Hard, why I'd say it's not hard because you get to define what's hard for you in this industry. If you
Mm,
think you can't achieve anything, I promise everything you try to do will be hard. Again, it's not easy because it comes with a lot of learning. And the fact that I keep saying cloud is it in foundational years. We saw the spike of cloud and cloud security in 2020. How many years down the line? Four. For a technology, that's not enough time for it to have like taken root enough. Cloud was there before 2020, but 2020 was like the turning point for cloud and it became popular. Companies started moving to the cloud and all that, right? So the fact that it feels like it's still in its foundational years in different countries, like let me talk about classic case. In Kenya, not many companies have adapted the cloud yet. And for those moving to the cloud, it's like they're the very initial stages of we need to move to the cloud, but we don't know how to do about this. Let me
mm,
tell you, this is where you plug yourself in. Anytime you hear a client say, I don't know how to do about it, you should be there ready to offer your insights and guide them. Be like, we'll need this team of people. This is what they'll do. This is what is supposed to be needed. And help them even come up with like a maturity plan. Because there's one thing to move to the cloud, but what about maturity plan? Two, the other myth is that, but that's true. There's a lot to learn. It's not a myth. It's true. There's a lot to learn in this space, and there's a lot of I keep saying self exploration. Be very ready to explore on your own because that's how it's gonna become great.
yeah.
And put out content there. Teach your peers, even in university, those university groups. Teach your people. They're gonna build your confidence and make your terms like cloud security knowledge more stronger. So there are not so many myths about cloud security. Also, I think the myths that are there about the cloud, that it's expensive, it's only for big companies. No. Nowadays you find even SMEs and startups like have cloud environments. And then you see these are your markets now. Actually, something else. Don't just go for the big names out in the industry when you're looking for jobs. These small companies are moving to the cloud. Reason being, they don't have the capability in terms of manpower and money to have like big data centers. Like the way big companies can afford to do that, right? They can
Yeah.
have the data centers, the big storage machines, all that. But SMEs don't have that power. So for them, they tend to leverage more on the cloud services. So as a cloud security person, you have to be there to help them optimize their cloud as well. Because and then for most of them, security is not their core business. So you need to introduce to them why is security a core business when you move into the cloud. It's not just a technology you're adapting, but at the core of it all, you need security to ensure your operations are secure because this is gonna be your everything. Like this is it's a chest that holds all your Easter eggs for small companies. So you need to help them see the value of security, and that's the value you bring to the table.
Hmm.
So ideally, it's a very interesting. path, but you have to put in a lot of work and do a lot of research.
Do a lot of research, ladies, and do not ignore the small companies. Like Jacqueline said, you always find a place to fit yourself into. When you see an opportunity, jump at it and be very open to actually offering and showing your value to people and clients around you. Jacqueline, we have one question from the chat box. Can a network security engineer do what a cloud security engineer does, and how are they different?
Yes, and I will say partially yes and partially no. When talking about network security, how cloud does its network is slightly different. So if you're going into the cloud, think of cloud networking. It's a very in Kenya, I don't know if it's lucrative, but outside there, I tend to say it's lucrative. I'm one person who doesn't like to limit their. I keep saying, do not limit your God, do not limit your abilities. So I don't like to limit my market. I tend to think of skills that can also allow you to leverage outside markets. Cloud network is very lucrative out there because sometimes some companies just need that structure in the cloud networks. Also, when you're doing cloud networks, it's very easy for you to be able to do cloud SIM operations because it's very easy. Um, so if whoever this is, please check out the different cloud network like bits for different CSPs. I know Azure has a certification for that. It's called I think is at 700. You don't have to do and pay for the certification. Sometimes I keep saying use this certification content to upskill. If you don't get the money to pay for the certifications, just upskill on it. On your CV, have a section for certifications and trainings. If you don't have a certification, you can have the training bit of it, because that kind of like holds the same weight. Because you can, if in an interview you have to justify yourself, you're gonna justify yourself in terms of funds. Be like, I have gone through the training and all that, but I not have a certification ready. But if a company is willing to pay for you to get certified within, like, let's say 3 months, and they tell you, hi Anne, we're gonna hire you for this role, but you don't have a certification, but we're willing to pay for you to get certified. Are you ready to, when they have that conversation, will you say, yes, I'm ready for the exam and I can take it? Or will you now start saying, I need to start learning and all that? So look out for how the cloud does its networking and then see. But ideally, it's not so hard for you to move to now cloud networking and all that.
Thank you for that, Jacqueline. Thank you. See, this has been a very, very, very informative session, and I would actually come back to watch this, just like I have advised everyone to. So please always make sure you come back to watch this because there are a lot of nuggets. Jacqueline, before you go, because we have actually come to the end of our session, before you go, a lot of the ladies would like to connect to you. How can they, and would you? Are you open to being connected? And what? Oh, no, no, I'm not.
Yes,
So,
gladly.
um,
Oh, sorry, let me answer you. I go by Jacqueline Mbuthia on LinkedIn. I'm very okay with that. I go by Bags and Bags on my socials, all socials. I tend to share a lot of nuggets everywhere. My Instagram is literally tech Instagram. It's not that kind of Instagram that you all think. It's tech Instagram, as well as
yeah.
Twitter. I go by Bags and Bags. I used to share a lot of cloud security content on Twitter. I taken a pause on that, but I'm going back to doing that. So you can follow me on at bags and bags underscore. Bags and bags is, it's a very interesting name. So the first bags is being a dev, like the bugs, bags, the bags that we face, and the last
Yeah.
bags is a. So it's bags, bugs, and then bags, bags and bags. So you go by bags and bags everywhere. I'm open to connecting and chatting with anyone.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. Thank you. I really, really enjoyed this session. It was really nice having you, and thank you for taking out your time to have this conversation with us. A lot of the ladies are in the chat box saying thank you, as you can see, and they are happy and looking forward to connecting with you. So thank you, and we look forward to actually having you in another session. Maybe we just come and have you speak to.
Gladly and just away.
just just text away. Okay. Thank you. And really, really glad to have you here. And look forward to having you in another wonderful session. Before we go, I would like to thank our sponsors for making this possible and for their continued support to us. And I would like to thank Cisco Networking Academy, Checkpoint, Policy Wizard, EC Council, Practical DevSecOps, InfoSec, Fortinet, ISC2, INE, Microsoft ADC, and ATO. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Ladies, remember we have another session, holding another session tomorrow. So be ready to actually join in, and we look forward to having you again. So have a wonderful, wonderful day ahead of you, and thank you. And don't forget to watch this session again. Bye, everyone.